So it is now 7 PM. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Village of Tinley Parks Plan Commission to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Stanton?
Here.
Engel?
Here.
Manny?
Here.
Gatto? Gray?
Here.
Augustiniak? Aitchison?
Here.
Vic?
Here.
Chairman Shaw?
Present. All right, we have a quorum, and we are ready to go. Do we have any communications this evening?
No, we don't.
All right. We do have some public notice here. Let's begin with the approval of the minutes of the March 7th, 2019 regular meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Move Commissioner Stan, second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Engel. Okay, any comments, corrections, edits? Hearing none, all in favor of approving?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think in the minutes when I mentioned regarding the spacing, in the minutes indicates 5 inches, I said 4 inches.
Oh, okay, I know you'd sent a message on that. I thought
Right,
it
but I'm
was,
just saying in the minutes, so I mentioned 4 inches in between the vertical.
What page?
Page 6 of 9. So in the minutes it's incorrect.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that was just the staff
No,
report,
but
but
the
we can
minutes
get
as
that
well.
corrected in the minutes. too.
Okay, excellent. So, all in favor of approving the minutes, including the correction from Commissioner Manny? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved as amended. All right, we have a single item on the agenda this evening, a public hearing for secondary front yard corner fence height text amendment. The petitioner is the village. We had a workshop on this item at our last meeting, and we had a full house then, so fortunately, everyone has seen this. I have a notice of publication in the public notice here, and the dates appear correct. Everything looks in order. So with that, entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Move Commissioner Gray, second. Second Commissioner Manny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are open. We're going to dispense with swearing in of the petitioner. And seeing nobody in the public, I'm assuming we don't have any objectors or interested persons. And I've already confirmed the public notice here, so we'll just go ahead straight with the staff presentation.
Yeah, so everyone was here for the workshop. I'll still go through kind of some of the main points since this is the public hearing, but I won't maybe dive into so much detail unless you guys really want to. So this is a relatively simple text amendment for corner fence height regulations that are approved through an administrative variance. We're essentially raising the maximum height, which is currently 4, we're raising it up a foot to 5 feet. So our current requirements in the reason for this variation is due to the discrepancy between the pool height of a corner fence and then the required minimum height of a pool fence around the yard. That is 5 feet for the pool fence is the minimum height in our current code. And then the fences in the secondary front yard, again, are 4 feet maximum height. And those are required to be open design as well as a maximum of 10 feet into the required secondary, or into that required front yard. The main reason for this is just visibility, safety, and then kind of a neighborhood appearance, as corner fences can have a pretty strong effect on the visual character of a neighborhood, especially at corners. They're pretty visible. In the staff report, as Commissioner Manny stated, it does say 5 inches in here, but the required spacing is a 4-inch sphere, can't go through there. That is, I checked, that is checked anytime someone gets a pool permit or a fence permit, that we do check to make sure that if they're getting the fence permit, we make sure there's not a pool there, or if it's a pool with a fence, we're making sure they know they have to keep the fence. So we put that as a condition with the permit. And if they're getting a pool, we make sure that they either have the fence around the pool or the fence around the yard that meets those building code requirements. So the background of this, again, there was quite a few changes that led to a pretty large fencing change in 2018. Last year was kind of the first year we got to test that out. So with any code change, you kind of start to find out what the issues are and some unintended consequences. The pool discrepancy was one of those that came up a number of times last year. 2 variations were approved kind of with that as part of their justification for why they wanted to go up to 5 feet, or why they felt like they needed more privacy and things like that. So the pool fence was one of those main issues. The zoning board looked at this as well at their last meeting a week ago, and they voted 5-0 as well in favor of these changes. We've also had even this year, we've had a few people coming in that want to, have the fence in their secondary front yard and want to put or have a pool. So we've already had it come up a couple times this year. And it just seems like one of those things that it's, if you're granting a variance over and over and over, maybe just change the code. So that's where we kind of showed up here. So here's a couple examples of the variations that were approved that had pools as their kind of one of the reasons last year as why they needed the height variance on their corner fences. Here's just kind of 2 different images of a 4-foot fence and then a 5-foot fence on the bottom, just showing that it's not that great of a change. And again, we looked into the pool fence. Could we lower the pool fence to 4 feet, which is actually the barrier requirement in the residential building code. Most communities around here have 5 feet, and from talking with some of the building guys, I found the main reason why it was bumped to 5 was because you could have the way it's kind of written is the pool wall could be the barrier, and a pool wall could be more than 4 feet. So making it 5 makes sure that they have to put something around it. You couldn't have an open yard with a pool and count the pool wall as the barrier. This makes it clear that you have to put something on top of the pool. So just from talking to the different communities, so that's why 5 feet has kind of been what everyone has changed to. And I think that's it. Again, ZBA looked at this too. They get most of these variances, and they were kind of pleased to see this come through there. So that's it for the staff report. Okay.
As I said, we had a full house last time. Everyone took a look at this. So based on the staff report and/or the presentation this evening, does anyone have any additional questions or even comments, thoughts on this matter here?
Nope.
No?
Well, and I had a comment. So, I see the motion, but can you reiterate, how we're going to make sure, so when the resident wants to remove their fence around their pool, if it's existing, and if they have a perimeter fence, how are they going to know? Oh, I mean, there should be language saying that, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure your fence pickets the spacing is less than 4 inches.
So we ask for that as part of the permit, either if they're getting a new pool, we ask what their existing fencing is, we'll ask for pictures of it as part of the review.
Okay.
And then what the spacing is, and then in the inspection, on the final inspection for the pool before they can use it, we do verify that
Okay,
as part
so-
of the inspection.
All right. I'm gonna, appreciate you looking, looking at my email, because again, that's, the code, it's all about minimums,
Yep.
So-
And that was my fault with the 5 inches.
Right,
But
so I just wanna
our
make sure,
building
right,
code guys knew it was 4,
and
and
again-
that was just my fault.
And again, that's a life safety issue, so, as an architect, I need to, if I see something that's incorrect and whatever, by law, I have to, flag it and make sure.
Sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a good check to
Well, right,
make sure
so-
they're looking at the right things.
Right, all right.
Good.
Thank you.
So just to clarify that point, and again, this is about the code, and the questions, his and mine are effectively about, administration of the code.
Correct.
But, so it's fair to say regardless of what somebody has, whether they have a pool, have a fence, or whatever, you're looking at what they're going to have in the end,
Correct.
right? And as long as that meets the code, we're good.
Yep, and we do require inspection, so it's not just them telling us it. So we have to go out and inspect it, and if they don't call in for it, we go out and do it anyways and before they start using it. So we have the inspections to verify what they're telling us is correct.
All right. So, good, I myself, I don't really have any questions about this. I think we've, kind of examined it pretty well, and my impression anyway is that there's consensus here that this is a good thing. I just wanted to point out a couple of comments here in a very good way. I know that what we're generally looking at here is just, looking at the code itself, right? We're looking in the best interest of the community. I don't know if this is necessarily part of the Plan Commission's specific mandate here. It's not a bad thing for us to be looking at. As I see it, one of the reasons that this has even come up is taking a look at the variances that come before the ZBA, and in particular, the ones that are approved routinely, and trying to see if there's a reasonable, we just change the code to match the things that we know are generally going to get approved anyway, right?
Yep.
I'm absolutely in favor of that approach. In fact, I think to the extent we're able, we should be continually looking at exactly those kind of things. I think since I've been on the Plan Commission, there's been at least 2, maybe 3 examples where staff has brought that exact kind of thing to us, and I applaud that.
Yeah, signs and fences tend to be the most regular ones that
Yeah.
kind of change, so. yeah.
So what I would say about that is, on a recommendation for me anyway, on a go-forward basis, again, not part of the mandate, but always good for the public to know this, is that I don't know if you guys do this internally. If you do, it'd be good to share. If not, it would be good to do just some sort of estimate of the savings itself, quantify it. It's always good to show the public that the commissions, and in particular the staff, are looking out for the public interest. If it's, I just off the top of my head, I think it's quantifiable, because here we had 2 last year, and you said there's already a number coming in here. So when you look at what a variance petition costs, not only the individuals putting it in, they have to pay for that, they have to spend their time, they have to do all that. But then there's staff time, there's commission time, there's Board of Trustees time, there's costs associated with all of that, and public notice, clerk's office, all the paperwork and all that. So that's not, it's only slightly on topic here, but as long as we have the moment, I just want to commend that and make the recommendation that it, wherever possible, if you can quantify the value that you guys are bringing to the village by doing this sort of thing, I definitely think that you should do that.
Sure.
Demon-
Yeah, it'd
demonst-
be interesting to look at things like the signs and the fences and how have those saved us time. And, yeah, it's a general planner principle that if a variance is getting approved over and over and over, the community has probably accepted that as an acceptable solution. And why let residents, why have you guys come to do these when it's generally accepted? There's always still things that are unique enough, that are hard to, and corner lots are difficult, but, you know, there are always some things that kind of need extra scrutiny. But, yeah, we'll look into that, and maybe signs and fences would be an interesting one to kind of look back and say, how has this actually affected? Or even how many variances was there back then? How many are we doing now? And justify, see what that difference is in
And
terms
then
of
to know-
cost and time.
To know how many pools there are right now in the village? Just curious.
Yeah, that'd be a good question. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how many, but.
All right. And Commissioner Manning, what he brought up, it's kind of just thinking about that now, is that it obviously makes a lot of sense because that's a security issue with a pool. And that, so that we don't do yearly inspections, or do we?
No, we don't.
Just a thought, I don't know if that would be something that would be doable, or if it's a cost issue, or, you know, what that would involve. But from a safety standpoint, you think about it, that's probably the one thing, is a pool in a yard is the biggest risk of an accident happening.
Yeah, I can bring it up. Obviously, that's a little above me in terms of
Exactly.
time of our code
Exactly.
enforcement
Right.
department and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it is an interesting, I mean, we
And
can
maybe-
make sure it works and someone
and-
could rip down the fence the next day and
And maybe if it
someone
was
told
just
us.
something that was just a percentage that were done on an annual basis. So we're gonna take 10% of all, you know, randomly to get done.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
But
Then
You know,
something that may be interesting for, even just to, so we can map them out, so we know where they're at and track them. That's maybe something we can talk to our GIS department about doing is.
I was just gonna say, nowadays, a lot of that can be done, you know, behind a desk.
Right.
You know, you
Right.
can, you know, at least take an inventory.
Google
you know,
Earth.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
Street View has, I never leave the office anymore, so Street
Yeah.
View's pretty much made going in the car
Yeah,
obsolete.
we don't wanna advertise that too much.
Yeah, I still have
Yeah.
to, because I'm a planner, so I gotta get out, but,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of it could be done just double checking there. And
Well,
Well-
I mean, for my part, you know, you could take an inventory and using, you know, a combination of that, you can, to a degree, eliminate some because, you know, in the view, you can clearly see, you know, that there's something, or at least, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, when the photo was taken, there was something. You know, there's always a risk that someone took
Right.
it down. But you can at least do that. There's so many efficiencies that we can do there.
It'd be a lot quicker than having inspectors go check every one. That's at least one way to do some kind of check. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Targeted.
I'll talk to,
all right, but
The
but
higher
I
up.
just
Right.
wanted to note
We're
that, you know.
Really wandering off our,
Right. No, but this is, I'm going back to, just want to echo Commissioner Stanton's comment. You know, it is, you know, my focus is, and expertise on it is, you know, code-wise, life safety. That's all architecture is, life safety, right? You know, if anything happens, who do you look at? The architect, and everyone's involved, you know? So, you know, and I spoke about this last year when we were discussing, you know, the fence, the aesthetics of it now. So right now, for this petitioner, he'll have the safest fence. Pool or no pool, kids could be in their backyard, and everyone's happy. But right now, how the code is just aesthetics. So anybody who has that 50% and more of an opening, that's not safe. And that's just the bottom line. For kids in there or kids outside the property, they can walk in, they could have a crazy dog, whatever, you know, and then, you know, again, just life safety. That's my main focus.
well, I would say that is definitely a topic that on times when the Plan Commission's agenda is lighter,
Right.
I personally think that is a valuable use of time
Right.
to be
Should-
looking at those things. You know, certainly from our perspective, but there, you know, there's a there's a behind-the-scenes cost of the staff doing the homework to prepare for it.
Right, right.
But yeah, and that's always been my thought, that, we're scheduled for 2 meetings a month, so we should be doing something,
Right.
so, all right. And realizing that we're technically still in the middle of a public hearing right now, how about we take a look out? I'm assuming there's no further questions on the matter at hand, correct? Within the public hearing on this fence issue, we have public comment. Do we have any comments from the public on the fence matter? On the fence? Yeah, we're on a public hearing for the
You know
fence.
what? Can I just say something about that?
Sure?
I wish they would have done this like a couple years ago when I got my fence variance, but they let me come out they did administrative variance of 4 feet. And I was appreciative of that, because I was gonna have to go through the zoning board of appeals and do all that. And, but one of the I was going through all the paperwork to do that. I was getting flags to map out how it was and everything else, and we had a little stoop that we had to work around. And like 4 days later, they called back and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna give you this variance, or just administrative variance. So I was like, thank you. So I think it's just a great, just common sense work, and that's
Do you
it.
mind signing in?
Yeah, I will, I'll be like.
For public hearings, you do have
Oh, I
to,
have to sign in?
you do have to sign in. For public hearing, regular public comment, no.
All right.
All right. So, closing remarks from the petitioner? None? Hearing none? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Move Commissioner Engel, second Commissioner Manny. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. I'm sorry, I'll get you on the next one.
What's okay?
You know
No,
what?
it's okay. It's not important.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna entertain a motion on this matter, and, I'm gonna sit silent and see if you say something on it.
I feel myself turning red.
There you go.
No, really, what am I supposed to?
No?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the village board approve text amendments to section 3.j. Permitted encroachments in required yards of the Village of Tinley Park zoning ordinance as indicated in staff's most recent staff report and drafted in the attachments dated 3/21/2019. The proposed text amendments raise the allowed maximum height of a fence in the secondary front yard on a corner lot approved administratively. The maximum fence height would be raised by 1 foot from the currently height of 4 feet to a new maximum height of 5 feet.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Aitchison, second Commissioner Stanton. Questions and comments on this? I just noticed a typo in the motion here, so I would just suggest that as amended, we change currently to current. If there's no objections. Okay. So if there are no questions or comments, I would like to take a roll call vote on the motion as amended.
Stanton?
Yay.
Engel?
Yes.
Manny?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Vic?
Yes.
Aitchison?
Yes.
Chairman Shaw?
Yay. So, motion carries unanimously. And so this will head straight to the village board at the next meeting, which I think is April 2nd?
I believe the April 2nd one's canceled for reasons of the election.
16th?
They're pretty obvious.
April 16th.
I believe it'll either be the 16th.
Fabulous day.
Unless there's April 10th. There may be a meeting on April 10th, so.
Okay,
So it'll either be April 10th or April 16th.
all right. All right, well, I believe that concludes our regular business for the evening. Take a look at our agenda here. We have good of the order. Do we have any interesting and exciting news coming from the planning department?
I had just an update that the short-term rental, we were directed to bring that to Public Safety Committee as well. So that's gonna go to the Public Safety Committee, just to look at the, the safety side of it, as well as some of the policing issues and stuff like that, can be discussed there. So we were directed by our attorneys to bring it there, and then it'll go to village board after that, if they have any changes or anything. And then
Okay, so if there are any recommended additions or changes from what we've recommended, they'll just address that at the board level? Is that?
I believe so, unless it's something significant.
Okay.
I believe would just still go straight to the board. If it's significant, we'll usually bring it back to you guys.
Yeah.
If it's something that would change what you guys voted on.
Yeah,
But maybe it's something minor, or I think you guys already kind of vocalized, maybe you could add in the housing, crime-free housing stuff. So I think that would maybe be the extent of it. That would probably go straight to board.
Okay, seems fair to me. Okay,
And then the Jimmy John's, the old Bank of America in Brookside Glen, that came in for a permit, so that's been worked on. The facade and the site work there was pretty significant, and I think that'll be a cool reuse. Obviously, Jimmy John's a little more exciting than another bank, so I think that's good. And then the permits for all the downtown stuff are still kind of being work in progress for Banging Gavel, who I think is working through the state process for historic stuff, for their historic certificates. SIP, I know, has some kind of final loose ends on the engineering and stuff to work out, but they seem to be moving along with getting their permit. And then South Street, the boulevard at Central Station, that they're working on getting their plans together for the permit, so they can start this spring as well.
great.
Um,
They're,
that's it.
they're tentatively, assuming permits and everything go through, they're looking to break ground this spring.
Correct. Yeah, that's
Good.
what I've been told from them, and I know they're pulling together their kind of final building plans, which are significant in a building like that. So at least phase one should be starting, last I heard, this spring.
That's great.
I have something.
Sure.
You all received emails, some of them I got back from you, but from the county regarding your,
Statement of economic
Right.
interest. Yep,
so please make sure, otherwise there's a $15 late charge if you don't do it by May
May 1st.
I think it was,
Ooh.
yeah.
Good. All right, any comments from the commissioners? Okay. Comments from the public?
Just quick, I just want to talk about, there's an article in Cranes recently about how much more the South Suburban homeowners pay in taxes than the rest of Cook County and the surrounding areas. And one of the, couple statements in there just remind me of some of the history and what we're doing moving forward. One was towns like Orland Park, which is in Cook County, it's our neighbor right here, which has a strong base for sales tax in Orland Square Mall, haven't had to jack up their property taxes as much. And the executive director says of the the South Suburban Mayors and Managers Association stated, we need to energize commercial investment in the south suburbs. It's an important step towards community stabilization. What was it, 3 years ago now, or 4? There's a change in the text amendment that went from commercial required in our legacy district to allowed or permitted. I think it's just short term, just to build a building doesn't do anything for future generations. And the decision that you guys make and ultimately our trustees make affect our future, our children's future, the people that move here and everything else. And I get, set the bar high, make it required, just like South Street. I guess they came in for a variance, right? And they cut down the number of commercial which is fine, but there's still gonna be commercial there. And I heard about a restaurant that wants to be there that will draw people in. And once those people come in, they're gonna see a Harmony Plaza, they're gonna see Primal Cut, a brewery, and they're gonna go, oh man, you know, it just built. And to totally wipe that out would wipe out an opportunity for commercial taxes and all that revenue that can come. And then moving forward, the Tinley Park Medical Health Center. I know that hasn't come in front of you guys yet, and I don't know when that would. I was just recently at the convention center for the Melody Square deal. And I saw their updated, the most updated, they had it on a piece of paper, not on their big board. It took out a huge, like 15 acres of entertainment, commercial, and they had 2 little spots of commercial and the rest are housing. And he's talking about how much money the village is gonna make from this TIF, which is awesome for the village, but not good for the citizens, not good for the taxpayers who are paying taxes now. So I know it's not up to you guys, but it's important to think long-term on this and not just do something easy and build more homes at a place like that, so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For volunteering.
I'll do a quick, just on because I know what you're talking about with the commercial required thing. So that was reversed afterwards. That was part of the Buckeye thing. We won't dive too much into it, but it was reversed afterwards and made to be commercial required again.
Right, and then, you know what, and then there was a debate on it. Hey, a developer wants to come in, I don't want to put that much commercial there, I can't afford it, I want to have something else. Then you guys, okay, hey, let's do it, because you know what, it makes sense. But you know what, if it wasn't there, they wouldn't put commercial there. They wouldn't have these restaurants coming in, these shops coming in or available. You know, it's a neat, I know it's harder for some developers to do, but you know what, tough.
And it's not on the entire Oak Park Avenue strip, but it's on those anchor
Right.
corners and intersections.
Yeah.
And then in the downtown, where we want to see our
Yeah.
commercial build up and with residential around it.
Yeah.
So that's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
So they reversed it back to that one.
Yep.
So
That's good.
we'll take your comments into consideration too for the Tinley Park Mental Health Center, so I can pass them on.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. So, having heard from the public and no further comments from the commissioners, thank you for your time this evening, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So move.
Move Commissioner Stan,
Second.
second Commissioner Atchison. All in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.